Prince Andrew has fired back at a woman's frivolous sex assault lawsuit claiming Giuffre's just out for a payday in a shock motion he filed to dismiss the claims on Friday, which also accused her of helping Ghislaine Maxwell in her sex trafficking ring with Jeffrey Epstein. Virginia Giuffre, 38, is being slammed by the prince for her supposed false accusations that the Duke of York sexually abused her 3 times back in 2001 when she was just 17 years old, more than 2 decades ago. In court documents filed in U.S. District Court in Manhattan today, which was the court-imposed deadline for the prince to respond to Giuffre's suit, Andrew, 61, urged a U.S. judge to dismiss her lawsuit, calling the claims baseless in an effort to achieve another payday. The prince also cited a damning story published in the New York Daily News in 2015 that revealed Giuffre also was trained to and did, in fact, recruit other young women into Epstein's sex trafficking ring. One of Giuffre's ex-lovers who would drive her to Epstein's Palm Beach mansion told the news site, "She was like head B****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************i***************************************************************** She'd have like 9 or 10 girls she used to bring to him. She never looked like she was being held captive. She and the other girls would walk out of there smiling, with their little bathing suits on, like they had just come from the beach. She'd have like $4 grand, and then I'd take them all to the mall and they'd get their nails done. When Giuffre was in the middle of settling a lawsuit with Epstein in March 2015, former friends even claimed that despite her accusations that the financier was keeping her as a sex slave, she was actually more of a money-hungry sex kitten who enjoyed the lavish lifestyle. But Giuffre has long insisted otherwise and has been one of Epstein's most outspoken accusers, claiming that she was a victim of his sex trafficking ring throughout the early 2000s when she was a teenager. Now Shush is alleging that around the same time she was also forced into sex with Andrew at Maxwell's London townhouse, sex pest Jeffrey Epstein's mansion in Manhattan and one of Epstein's private villas in the Virgin Islands. Andrew said in response, Virginia Giuffre may well be a victim of sexual abuse at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. And nothing can excuse, nor fully capture, the abhorrence and gravity of Epstein's monstrous behavior against Giuffre, if so. He added, however, and without diminishing the harm suffered as a result of Epstein's alleged misconduct, Prince Andrew never sexually abused or assaulted Giuffre. He unequivocally denies Giuffre's false allegations against him. The court documents went on to point out that for over a decade, Giuffre has profited from her allegations against Epstein and others by selling stories and photographs to the press and entering into secret agreements to resolve her claims against her alleged abusers, including Epstein and his ex-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. Although it is unclear how much money she received through a settlement with the Epstein Victims Compensation Fund (EVFF), the compensation was reportedly worth more than $121 million. Epstein's abuse of Giuffre does not justify her public campaign against Prince Andrew, the motion read, adding that her pattern of filing a series of lawsuits against numerous high-profile individuals should no longer be tolerated, as it continues to irreparably harm many innocent people. Most people could only dream of obtaining the sums of money that Giuffre has secured for herself over the years, Andrew claimed, noting that the money could serve as a compelling motive for Giuffre to continue filing frivolous lawsuits against individuals such as Prince Andrew. The court documents also said that Giuffre has created a media frenzy in the press, which has led sensationalism and innuendo to prevail over truth. Andrew, the ninth in line for the British throne, was served the lawsuit back on August 27 at the Royal Lodge in Windsor. Giuffre's lawyer David Boies filed the case under New York's Child Victims Act. Epstein died by suicide in August 2019 while being held in jail as he faced sex trafficking charges. He served 13 months in a Florida prison after pleading guilty in 2008 to soliciting a minor for prostitution. His partner Ghislaine, 59, is being held at the Manhattan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, and has pleaded not guilty for her role in the sex ring. She faces up to 80 years if convicted of the charges, which she has consistently denied. According to Andrew's motion in September 2015, when Giuffre sued Maxwell for defamation, Maxwell denied Giuffre's allegations against her and publicly stated that Giuffre was not a credible source or an honest person. The parties reached a settlement in 2017, pursuant to which Giuffre purportedly received millions of dollars, he added. But the accusations didn't stop there. Giuffre also filed a lawsuit against lawyer Alan Dershowitz claiming Epstein passed her around to various men in his circle for sex, including Dershowitz. The Harvard law professor countersued in 2019. The court documents said the two never met or had sex and even alleged that Giuffre made up the entire story for money. The counterclaim added that Giuffre's lawyers were behind her accusation. Dershowitz suggested that they pressured her to falsely accuse him for money. The document went on to call Giuffre a liar. She has told numerous provable lies about her age, who she has met, whether she had emails concerning Dershowitz, it read. Andrew's legal team pointed out that after Giuffre sued the lawyer for sexual assault, Professor Dershowitz threatened to seek judicial sanctions and summary judgment against Giuffre and her attorneys if they did not immediately withdraw the battery claim. Giuffre voluntarily dismissed her battery claim against Professor Dershowitz, it added, noting that she filed actions against Andrew only days prior to the dismissal. Then, in a further effort to throw out Giuffre's claims, the court documents went on to point out that inexplicably, she has not mentioned when she was purportedly sexually abused by Prince Andrew in New York, specifically what Prince Andrew supposedly did to her there, or specifically where the alleged abuse supposedly occurred. It added, critically, even if her allegations were plausible, Giuffre concedes she was 17 years old at the time of the alleged abuse, and thus over the age of consent under New York law. Since her escape from Epstein and Marwell's sex trafficking heist, Giuffre, who was born in California and moved to Florida when she was 4, established herself in Australia. She married martial arts trainer Robert Giuffre in 2002 and the couple moved to a suburb of Perth, Australia, and now have 3 children, 2 sons and 1 daughter. Jeffrey Epstein accuser Rita O files lawsuit against Virginia Giuffre for defaming her in tweets that claimed she recruited young girls for the pedophile to abuse a woman who accused financier Jeffrey Epstein of sexually abused her. Has sued another Epstein accuser for defamation and cited a series of year-old tweets. Rena O, 41, filed a lawsuit in Manhattan federal court late Thursday and mentioned a series of tweets by fellow alleged Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre, 38, who recently sued Prince Andrew with claims she was coerced into sexual encounters with him. Giuffre has said she was one of many girls and young women sexually abused by Epstein and his partner Ghislaine Maxwell in their years-long sex trafficking ring. O said authorities, including the FBI, have agreed with her that she was, in fact, a young victim of Epstein's 20 years ago and not a co-conspirator or part of his inner circle, which Giuffre has been accused of being. Rena O, left, 41, who accused Jeffrey Epstein of sexually abusing her, has sued another Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre, right, for defamation late Thursday. Giuffre has said she was one of many girls and young women sexually abused by Epstein and his partner Ghislaine Maxwell in their years-long sex trafficking ring. O cited a series of year-old tweets in the suit, which sought $20 million in damages, where Giuffre said, "Rena, if you read this I hope you live in shame for the rest of your life." However, Giuffre asserted in a series of October 2020 tweets that O was Epstein's girlfriend and recruited girls for him to abuse. Rena, if you read this I hope you live in shame for the rest of your life, said a portion of one tweet cited in the lawsuit. It continued, you don't intimidate me any longer. The physical mental scares you left me with should be enough to put your *** in jail. Another tweet suggested that O should be in prison next to Ghislaine Maxwell, who will go to trial in Manhattan in November. The 59-year-old faces charges that she recruited teenage girls in the mid-1990s for Epstein to sexually abuse and then sex trafficked a teenage girl in the early 2000s. She has pleaded not guilty. Another tweet cited in the lawsuit said Giuffre accused O, an artist from New Jersey, of leaving a 6-inch scar on her leg from one of their encounters 2 decades ago. The sliced leg bleeding is exactly what she used to do to me. I have a 6-inch scar on my left leg from her cutting me. I can let a lot of ***t go, but this I will never forget, she tweeted before adding, #PureEvil, #lock her up and tagging the FBI. Ghislaine Maxwell, right, 59, faces charges that she recruited teenage girls in the mid-1990s for her then-husband Jeffrey Epstein, left, to sexually abuse and then sex trafficked a teenage girl in the early 2000s. She has pleaded not guilty. O alleged that nothing Giuffre tweeted was true and she has maliciously reiterated and republished these defamations and slanders in prior and subsequent tweets and interviews. However, the lawsuit claimed that none of that was true and Giuffre has maliciously reiterated and republished these defamations and slanders in prior and subsequent tweets and interviews on podcasts, TV and for magazines, as well as in her memoirs entitled Billionaire's Playboy Club. It added that the defamations and slanders are causing O great harm, including humiliation, shame, disgrace, mental anguish, loss of life enjoyment and anxiety and emotion distress, according to the suit. The lawsuit, which sought $20 million in damages, was aiming at stopping what it called false and defamatory bile. Lawyers for Giuffre did not immediately respond to a message-seeking comment. The Associated Press does not identify alleged victims of sexual abuse unless they decide to tell their stories publicly, as O has done in interviews and a podcast and Giuffre has done as well.